Salibonani, Kazwai, Dumela, Muribwanji. These are ways of saying hello in Southern Africa. Thank you for joining us today and this month as we remember everything black. Our roots, our inventions, our missteps, our triumphs, and our losses. We call this series Black History is African history, is world history. We don't just call it that. It is a fact. That is an honest fact. Black history is African history, is world history, wherever it may happen. Today we exalt our ancestors and continue the process of strengthening the bond that was stretched to the limit, but never broken. That bond was never broken, stretched to the limit, but never broken. When some of us were taken in shackles and chains from the motherland and taken far away, or some were left behind, also in shackles and chains, to work the land that once belonged to them. This is not a comprehensive look on all that binds us together. No, this is but the start, a spark to create space, more discussions, share the knowledge we have, the experiences with each other, with our children, so we may find that rooting, that anchoring that exists and is based in Africa. We have to tell the stories to our offspring of resilience, of how we have survived when some would have wished it not so. We should tell a story of pride and rooting, our foundation, our story rooted in Africa. Now, I'd like to share some words, some lyrics that two of my favorite artists have shared with the world. One said, I don't care where you come from, as long as you're a black man, you're an African. It doesn't matter what nationality you call yourself. It is only a way to segregate. You're an African. That was Peter Tosh. Now, let that sink in for a minute. If you have heard this, thought this, dismissed it, discarded it, maybe completely denied it, as long as you are a black man, you're an African. You are rooted in Africa. And your history, wherever you are, is African history. Bob said, quoting, I guess making a song from the lyrics from a speech given by Haile Selassie in 1963 to the United Nations, until the philosophy which holds one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently destroyed and abandoned, everywhere is war. War with guns, war of the mind, war between races, war between brother and sister. War, war, war. I would take it a step further and say until the philosophy that separates us between mainland Africans and diasporic Africans, those who have left a long time, is abandoned and completely discarded and shunned, we will continue playing second best to everyone else who doesn't look like us, who doesn't claim Africa as their own. Don't forget, as long as you're a black man, you're an African. Basically, we should speak with one voice. We should be super proud of our Africanness, wherever we are. Once we do that, we start coming to terms with our trauma as a people and taking ownership in telling our own stories, our own Africanness, wherever we may be. Then from then onwards, we can discuss from a level footing because we have a grounding We're saying we know where we come from. We know who we are. We're not denying ourselves. We're not denying a part of our foundation, our rooting. Then we cannot get blown this way or that way by the wind. Because to have a foundation, to know who you are, to know your rooting, is to have a base that you cannot be shaken from. And you never at any point feel less than, because you know who you are. But to get to that, all of us, as black people, as Africans, is to first come to that understanding and acceptance that we're all African. From times long past to present, the quest for knowledge about Africa has been about conquest, plunder. The more you know, the more directed you are as to where you want to go and get what you want out of Africa. Historically, it has been like that. And today, African studies at top universities resemble something similar to what I would say, the Scrabble of Africa. 1884, when European powers were sitting around the table discussing and partitioning and dividing Africa amongst themselves, drawing up borders that did not exist from before. No African was there. But they felt themselves superior enough to do that. They knew better. Now, in these schools and sometimes places of worship, it is the scholars and the missionaries now who have taken the place of the European powers. Now, they're taking up their territory and asserting their expertise over ethnicity, African democracy, and refugee crisis across the continent of Africa. White scholars are setting their expertise over African black ethnicity, our own governance systems, our democracy, and where are we when these things are being discussed? These stories they tell, they are our stories. These things they study, they are ours. They are studying us like we're in a class. This is our story to tell. The story of Africa. The story of every black person, wherever you are in the world. The story of Africa. This is our story to tell. Now, we all come from this dark continent. So-called dark continent, Africa. But this dark continent gave so much light to the world. So much understanding and learning. Geometry, mathematics, architecture, language, writing, culture, medicine, philosophy. We can go on and on and on and on. Africa, Africa, Africa. But that history has completely been discarded, ignored, or downright just hidden, maliciously converted to tell the story of an oppressor. Now we have a story of conquest, a story of subjugation, being packaged and sold as a story of learning, bringing the dark continent to the light. These are our stories that are being told because we're not speaking the same story united. As recent as the 1960s, prominent institutions of learning were led by people who had a very dim view of Africa. One professor, I guess, who had been a history chair at Oxford University for over 25 years, he declared there is no history in Africa. There is only the history of Europeans in Africa. The rest is darkness. Before Europeans brought history to Africa, there was only the unedifying gyrations of barbarous tribes in picturesque but irrelevant corners of the globe. It didn't exist. Now, this is coming from a people who came and plundered, killed, and looted treasures from barbarians, did not want to agree or even when they came across amazing carvings, buildings, it was beyond them to think that these so-called barbarous tribes could have built these things and made all that stuff. Again, the denying of what was the reality. These are the people who gave themselves the position to teach. It's time we told our own stories. It's time we told of our own successes. It's time we told of our history, which is one. Whether in Australia, you're on the Asian continent, you're on the American continent, you're in Europe, you're anywhere you are on this rock called Earth. As long as you're a black person, your story is connected to Africa. You have a very big story to tell. But it starts in becoming one. It starts in acknowledging that black history is African history. You claim that heritage, you claim that foundation, and our stories start getting rooted in a space that they cannot be shaken from. Slavery happened all across Africa. West, East, South. Slaves were taken from Eastern Africa, Southern Africa, using Mozambique and Robben Island as resupply points before the journey across the Atlantic to Brazil and such places. Many perished on the Atlantic journey. This is well known. So all of us share a history that is rooted in pain. But the acknowledgement of it, looking it face to face, straight in the eye, and saying, this is who I am, this is who we are, and we are one people, but we're going to speak with one voice. We're going to say, total emancipation is the only end goal. We are one. Everyone else just sees black, one, so let's accept black is African. But that African history is world history. Like I said before, this is not going to be a comprehensive look of everything that we could talk about, of all the threads that connect us all across the world as black people. This is just a start. It's just a point of which we can say, let's sit and meet some more and share stories that we know intimately, that are not written or told to us by somebody else, but that have been passed down by generation to generation to generation. We share these. As they are found on the mainland, they belong to every black person also in the world. And as they are found across the world, they belong to every African. Because that's who we are. We are one. We are one. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this, and I hope we have more chances to connect. I am Tichaona Ekhaya with Bring On the Sunshine. We do have programs that we run in schools. We have workshops, we have discussions, and we would love to facilitate or to come and teach. Also to learn and share with anyone who is interested in this. Black history is African history, is world history. It is ours. Let's claim it, let's talk about it, and let's make it available so we cannot be unknown no more. This is just a start, but there's so much we can go into. There's more. Thank you. These are the sounds of Southern Africa. Just a little bit of what you get to hear. Bring On the Sunshine. You get to hear at any of the spaces that we may come to meet and have these discussions, finding our routine, finding our ancestors.